All right. So she's also the founder of My Ayurved, and is also a internationally renowned Ayurveda expert. And we welcome you today to give us more knowledge on Ayurveda and how we can apply during this period of tough time, and to make ourselves better.
Thank you. Thank you, Supriya, and thank you, ISGB, for giving me this opportunity to bring Ayurveda to our community. I think this is the first time that an Ayurvedic webinar through ISGB is being hosted. My hope is that if there is enough interest, we can have a couple more series on specific topics such as immunity, gut health, stress management, women's health, and other specific topics. Today, because it's an introductory talk, I have been asked to give an overview of Ayurveda. So my effort is going to be to introduce Ayurveda as a health science to all of you today, and as an alternate, or whatever word you are comfortable with, traditional, complementary, holistic health science. And I will also be sharing a few simple takeaways in the context of the current crisis, which are not necessarily Ayurvedic as such, but which will be coming from life wisdom perspective. So that will be in the latter half. And I will definitely try to leave time for interaction, questions, etc. So we have limited time, so I'll get started.
Priya, shower.
Guys, can you please mute yourself? We can hear you. Sorry.
Okay, no problem. So I know some of you have sent some specific questions, but just to keep everybody's awareness about Ayurveda in mind, I will try to introduce Ayurveda first, as if you have not heard about Ayurveda, which is quite possible. Some of you may have just heard about it as a word, but may not be aware what it means and what the approach is like. And in the introductory first half, I will also try to give a little bit of comparison between the two approaches, the mainstream healthcare approach as well as the Ayurvedic approach. So it's going to be a very broad overview today in respect of the time constraints. So let me begin by unpacking the word Ayurveda. Ayurveda as a word is a Sanskrit word. It is made up of two individual Sanskrit words, Ayu and Veda. Ayu means life, Veda means science or knowledge. So Ayurveda is that knowledge stream or branch of science which covers all aspects of life, right from birth to death and everything in between. So consider Ayurveda like the user manual of life. So whenever we buy a gadget, an appliance, anything, we go through the features of the appliance in the user manual. We read up on what the appliance or gadget can do, what it cannot do, and what are some of the maintenance requirements for that appliance or gadget. But we never think about us in that way. So Ayurveda provides us with a user manual for us. So let me expand on that. So if I were to give a very brief introduction about Ayurveda, I would say Ayurveda is about prevention, promotion, and personalization. 3 P's. It's easy to remember: prevention, promotion, and personalization. So prevention, let's talk about each one of these P's very briefly. Prevention, as you understand, are all the things that we can do to prevent a disease. Here the context is disease and health. So prevention here is referring to everything that we can do on our end to prevent a disease. And here I'm talking about primary prevention. What we see in the mainstream healthcare right now is largely secondary prevention, where um, the effort is to catch the disease while it is developing or when it has developed. It's all the testing that we see in the primary care visits, annual physical exams, etc., are geared towards catching illnesses as they are developing, or once they have developed. The HbA1c or the blood pressure or the vitals, the weight, etc., are geared towards catching diseases as they're developing or when they have developed. In Ayurveda, we talk about primary prevention. So there is a difference, primary prevention and secondary prevention. Primary prevention refers to those practices that are done to prevent the development and the formation of a disease. So that is a very big difference between primary and secondary prevention and preventative practices. And therefore, Ayurveda talks a lot about how to live life in a way so that diseases do not take place, they do not develop, they do not host themselves within us. And a big part of Ayurveda, more than half of Ayurveda is actually focused on preventative practices. The first stated goal of Ayurveda is swasthasya swasthya rakshanam. It is actually stated in all the main treatises of Ayurveda that the primary goal, the first stated goal of Ayurveda is swasthasya swasthya rakshanam. I will be quoting some Sanskrit verses, but I will also be translating. So please bear with me. Swastha, now let's again unpack this because this is really important for you. It will help you understand what is the Ayurvedic approach, Ayurvedic science approach, Ayurvedic life science approach. So the first stated goal is swasthasya swasthya rakshanam. The first word is swastha. Swastha again can be broken into two words, swa and astha. So swastha literally translated means healthy. I think some of you may be familiar with this term, swastha. Swa and astha. If you are established in your own self, then you are swastha. What does this mean? This means that when you are most aligned with who you are, not with what somebody else is. This is something I want you to take note of. That swastha means being established in one's own particular specific self. So it is operating as per the model that we are. Apple operating as Apple, not Apple operating as Android. So this is very important. If you have never paid attention, hey, am I an Apple or am I an Android or am I something else? Then you may be an Apple, but you may be operating as an Android and might be wondering, why am I not feeling 100%? Why am I not operating at my 100%? So swastha, this is the beautiful definition of swastha, or a beautiful term for swastha, not a definition. I'll come to the definition in a minute. The term for swastha itself is very powerful and very indicative of the Ayurvedic thought process and Ayurvedic approach. Swastha means to be established in your own self, in your own model, in who you are, not somebody else's model. Swasthasya swasthya rakshanam, that is the first stated goal. So whatever health, whatever baseline of health one is born with, if it is X, how do we maintain the X? It's a very common sense thing to do, that if we are born with X health, because everybody is born with a different quotient of health. Everybody is not born with the same kind of health or same extent of health, same status of health. So swasthasya swasthya rakshanam basically means to maintain, to preserve, to protect the X amount of health that one is born with. And that is a smart thing to do, because if we hold on to our baseline, then we can operate the model better. If we lose on that baseline, then we are losing some capacities of operation. This is a very important thing to remember. So, swasthasya swasthya rakshanam is the very first part. Then comes aturasya vikara prashamanam. After trying or after following all of the guidelines for swasthasya swasthya rakshanam, if one falls ill, then comes the second part of Ayurveda, which is all the therapeutics, all the herbs, all the treatment protocols, the specialized body works, all the other specialized therapies like leech therapy, like the Agni Karma, which is, you can say, loosely translated, different types of cauterizations. Kshara Karma, different type of alkaline thread treatments. So there are very many specialized treatments in Ayurveda, and that is the second part. So this is where I think the very heart of Ayurveda can be understood, that the entire life science is focused on swasthasya swasthya rakshana. But despite all the healthy and preventative practices, if you do fall sick, then there is an entire plethora of herbs and treatment protocols. So the swasthasya swasthya rakshana part is very elaborate, very beautiful, and under that part fall the dinacharya or daily routines like eye care, ear care, nose care, skin care, um, and oral, so oil pulling, oral care. You may have heard of oil pulling, the different types of tooth powders and oral care that can be done. Breathing practices, yoga falls under that. Different types of beautifying practices, right from application through oils as well as paste on the skin. So these all come under daily practices. Then Rutucharya, seasonal practices. Again, this is very commonsensical. I think in 2017, the Nobel Prize for Medicine was awarded to scientists who had highlighted the importance of circadian rhythm in our overall health. And just like now we know that the circadian rhythm is very important, what is also very important is alignment with the universal rhythm. So in Ayurveda or in Vedas, we talk about yat pinde, yat brahmande tat pinde, means we are a microcosm of the macrocosm. We are a representative, or we are an integral part of the universe. So as long as we are following the rhythms of the universe, we will be doing much better health-wise, physiologically and psychologically, in every which way. So just for example, just following the cycle of the sun is in itself very powerful. If we wake up with the sun and if we sleep with the sun, these are just in itself, this itself is very profound, even if you don't follow anything else. And morning gives us the gift of serotonin, and the sunlight gives us vitamin D, and the sunset gives us the gift of melatonin, which is the sleep hormone. So just following the rhythms of the sun itself is very powerful. So dinacharya, ratri charya, night care, night routine and regimen, rutucharya or seasonal regimens, and then many other such guidelines to transition through the different phases of our lives. There are different phases that have been defined in Ayurveda. the Balashram, the Yuva Ashram, the Balashram, the Grihasthashram, the Vanprasthashram, and Sannyasashram. So 0 to 25 is the childhood phase, and there is a specific set of guidelines to follow in that age phase. And then 25 to 50, there are certain set of guidelines. 50 onwards, there are certain other guidelines different from the earlier guidelines, where one is recommended to transition into closing on all of the life activities slowly and moving towards more preparing for the final transition mentally in every which way, financially and logistically. And then 75 onwards, it's recommended that just leave all the day-to-day lives and move towards the mountains or something like that. So that is another big part of the preventative or just the guidelines how to live life. So that it comes under the Swasthasya Swasthya Rakshanam, all this Dinacharya, Ratricharya, Rutucharya, and all the different transitions. And especially for women, the transitions are even more elaborately described. There is a transition at the time of menarche, when the woman or the girl child starts menstruating, and then comes the transition of motherhood, and then comes the transition of menopause. So all these normal life transitions, also there are extensive guidelines how to live through them. So basically it is an extensive user manual. A large part of Ayurveda is an extensive user manual how to live your life most optimally, most efficiently, and most productively, more smoothly, etc. So really, it is a wonderful collection of guidelines, and very commonsensical, very easy to understand, and very easy to appreciate as well, because these are not very complicated. They don't need any randomized controlled trials for as such. You will be able to understand once you start reading about these preventative practices. And basically all these practices help us to continue to operate smoothly, because under these preventative practices there is continued maintenance of us as a mechanical model and also as a physiological model. And then once these two are operating well, we also tend to operate better on the psychological realm as well. So that is as far as the Swasthasya Swasthya Rakshanam is concerned. So that is as far as the preventative, the P in the prevention part of it. And then we have the promotion part. What is promotion? So now coming back to the first thing that I said, that if we are born with an X amount of health, then how can we maintain, preserve, protect that X amount of health? Promotion means, can we make this X amount of health X plus 1 or X plus 2 or X square? So there are those protocols and guidelines and resources. And one of the things that we use, one of the categories that helps with the promotion part is called Rasayana. Rasayana means tonics. So this is something, as Indians, some of you may have heard. The concept of tonics is very unique to Ayurveda. And tonic basically means that for specific tissues and organs and systems, there are herbs and spices available which improve and enhance the functionings of those organs and systems. For example, amalaki or gooseberry is a very good respiratory tonic. Everybody has heard of amalaki, I'm sure. Triphala. Triphala is the Harad Baheda Amalaki. These are again 3 herbs. It's a very simple classical 3 herb, 3 fruit. Triphala means 3 fruits, 3 fruit mix. And this can be had on a daily basis. It helps with regular cleansing of the body and immunomodulatory in its impact on the body systems, and also provides with for example, amalaki gooseberry is a very probably one of the richest sources of vitamin C. that is out there. And ashwagandha, many of you may have heard, ashwagandha is a very, very well-studied herb in the West. It is again a very potent immunomodulator. Immunomodulator, if you don't know this term, it means it allows for the body responses to cope with the external stressors, whether they are intrinsic or extrinsic, or in the form of viruses or bacteria as well. As well as inherent intrinsic factors such as internal stressors. And then Arjun, the list goes on. So there are many such herbs and formulations which help in promotion of this X amount of health, if that makes sense. And the third is personalization. So Ayurveda is the mother of personalized medicine. Ayurveda is about roughly 4,000, 5,000 years old. And the concept of the acknowledgement and understanding that no two people are alike is astounding in the old treatises of Ayurveda, the Charak Samhita, the Sushrut Samhita. These are the names of those ancient texts. And the understanding that no two people are alike is astounding. So we have a very well-developed protocol for body typing. People can be categorized into 7 buckets for ease of understanding. These are 7 blueprints or templates, or what we can say, your model. And once the model is determined, it's very easy for not just the practitioner, but also the client to understand who they are, what their model is, and what the model's strengths are, what are the weak areas, what are the susceptibility areas. Certain model types have more tendency for constipation, certain body types have more tendency for diarrhea. So on physical, physiological, as well as psychological levels, these personalized models are exceptionally helpful.
I have a question. Yes. Can we interrupt you for questions? You have a question.
Sure. Do you want me to take questions in the middle, or okay?
How would you prefer?
If I can go through a few things that I have in mind, that'll be great.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you. I'll keep it short. So personalization is very, very unique to Ayurveda, and also some other, most of the holistic sciences actually acknowledge that no two people are alike, and that is very, very powerful. Very powerful. Really understanding that each model is different is very important. So no one size fits all. That's very, very key in Ayurveda. Now I'll just try to give an overview between the mainstream health approach and the Ayurvedic approach. Basically, in mainstream healthcare, and I'm a big proponent of integrative approach, means you take the best of both the sciences. So I want to state that before I get into a little bit of an overview about the difference in the two approaches. Mainstream healthcare focuses on the illness, and Ayurveda focuses on the person. I think that's all I want to say. In Sanskrit, I would say Ayurveda focuses on the rogi, on the person, not the roga, the disease. And mainstream healthcare focuses on the disease, which is why when you get into specialists and super specialists, they are more and more concerned about, cardiologist is more concerned about heart. Ultimately, the attention does not go much on how the treatment of the heart ailments could be causing renal failure, for example. And I don't want to go too deep into that, but basically, at some point, the person there is a loss of sight of the person. One loses the sight of the person, the illness becomes more important. if you know what I'm saying. In Ayurveda, we never lose sight of the person. Second, very important difference is that in mainstream approach, uh, most, if not all of the focus is on symptom management. In Ayurveda, we get to the root of the problem, whether it's hypertension or diabetes and whatever it might be. I also have a master's in public health, so I know that in US spends 18% of its GDP on healthcare, and most of this healthcare disease burden is from chronic illnesses, and this is twice the amount of any other comparable nation, whether it's a European nation or Canada. 18% of GDP is very, very high with worst outcomes. And this is something you can go on OECD website or you can just Google it. And when you say chronic illnesses, the minute you say the word chronic, it also means they're all preventable. So it's sad that not much is being undertaken to connect with people as people. The system is getting stronger, means the insurance sector, the pharmaceutical system, the system is getting stronger. The person is falling out of the system, if you know what I'm saying. So that is another very important difference. And third important difference, I'll make this the last difference, that Ayurveda uses most of the things from nature, and therefore most of these things are like using food. Therefore, unless used very, very indiscriminately, they do not have any side effects, harmful effects. And that cannot be said about modern medicine drugs. So these things have to be kept in mind. I think that is all the overview of Ayurveda that I would like to focus on today because time is less. I have some takeaways for the, in context of the current crisis, but I can take questions first and get to that if we have time. Otherwise, maybe we can have another webinar, but I can take questions now at this point.
People can unmute themselves and ask questions now. Okay, I have a question from Meenu. Is there a particular time to take Triphala? Am I pronouncing?
Triphala. You can take it at any time. It depends for what you're taking. If you're taking it for cleansing, you can take it at bedtime. If you're just taking it for general well-being, you can take it in the morning or sometime during the day. It comes in the tablet form, and it also comes in the powder form. I also want to say that I hope that answers your question, Meenu. Let me know. And I also wanted to add that I run two nonprofits, Holistic Health Alliance, you can look that up, and Council for Ayurveda Research, you can look that up too. And I also have my own product line, organic product line, and Triphala is also one of my offerings. And the name of the brand name is Swastha. So I just wanted to mention that. Yeah. There was another question in the middle somewhere, right? Supriya?
Yeah, that was the question.
Okay. Then is it okay if I continue with a few things that I wanted to share?
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, this is Ishwari here. So when I went for my annual blood work, I was told I'm anemic, and doctor told me to take iron tablet, and that is causing me constipation. So I'm trying to avoid it. So is there anything that I can take from Ayurvedic which doesn't really causes me constipation?
100%. Ishwari, if possible, send me an email. Because I cannot ask you right now here why you're anemic. Yeah, I will not put you on a spot on that because I think, as I said, the root cause analysis is very important in Ayurveda. Is it happening because of destruction of RBCs, or are you losing blood as a woman? things like that. Where is it
Okay,
coming from?
I
Because it
totally
doesn't, unless we plug the holes, it's no point just filling you up with iron supplements, you know. We
okay,
have wonderful herbal iron supplements.
okay, okay.
Yeah,
I'll send you email then. Thank you so
sure.
much.
You're welcome.
But you have few more questions. This one is
Sure.
Suraj. How effective Ayurveda is for people with depression?
Very good question, Suraj. Mental health issues are much more complex. Depression is one of the simpler mental health issues, but also depends on the severity of depression. If it's mild depression, there is a study that was there was a comparison done between um, turmeric and I think Zoloft or one of the regular antidepressants, and turmeric was found to be equally effective as Zoloft in that set of patients. There are other formulations that are available for mild depression. If the depression is severe, incapacitating, then I typically like to work with a psychologist, a therapist. So yeah, it depends on the person and the severity of the illness, the history of the depression. Suraj, does that answer your question?
All right. Your next question is from Kavita. So it's the continuation of the other one, Triphala, which is better, tablet or powder?
Powder is always better, but because lifestyles are very busy, if powder becomes difficult or because of taste, one finds it difficult to consume the powder, then tablets are an easy replacement. But powder is definitely better than tablet.
All right. Suraj says yes and thank you.
You're
And
welcome.
another question from Kamala. Is it true that Ayurvedic medicine loses its efficiency when we use it with hot liquids?
No. There are so many formulations in Ayurveda, tablet, decoctions, powders, um, uh, there are liquids, asavarishtas, which are fermented liquids. So there are many, I don't know which one would lose efficacy with hot liquids. No, not really.
All right. Meenu has a question. She had sent an email. She's asking the same question again. Can Ayurveda help with autoimmune disorders?
100%. 100%. Actually, there is not very good. There are not very good solutions for autoimmune diseases in modern medicine. Only now, in fact, there is a leading GI expert. What's his name? Dr. Fasano. He has come up with the triad of autoimmune diseases, in which gut health is one of the major, one of the three major factors.
You're talking about
And
Dr. Alicio Fasano?
yeah.
Yeah, I've worked with him.
Oh, really? Yeah. I have met him a few times and we are connected on email.
Yes.
He's a big proponent of Ayurveda, actually.
Yeah.
So autoimmune diseases, more and more, it's being discovered that there is a big connection with the gut health, and you know, Ayurveda is just really powerful for managing gut health. So the answer is yes.
Another question from Ramakrishna. How effective Ayurveda cures hypertension and diabetes when it's compared to modern medicine? The answer is probably, which is similar to autoimmune, I guess.
Who's asking for a question?
It's Ramakrishna.
Ramakrishna, let me use this opportunity to declare here on the forum that I'm not licensed to practice medicine in United States. So that is why if you see, I'm avoiding terms like treatment, diagnosis, disease, patient. I'm using the word client. I practice here. I have an MD in Ayurveda. I was a chief medical officer with AYUSH ministry back in India. but I make sure that I declare wherever I'm speaking or training or teaching that I'm not a licensed practitioner in this country. So I will not use the word treatment, but I can say I have a lot of good turnaround with my clients because these are chronic illnesses, hypertension, diabetes. I have very good turnarounds, and I have clients that are willing to talk to other clients. So yes, the answer is yes.
Next question is, okay, this is pretty broad, but fun question from Ayush. What are the top 3 things I can do to live life at its fullest?
First of all, find out what is your model. Okay, Ayush, very important. So get in touch with an Ayurvedic practitioner and get an insight into what your model is. And then second, live your life in accordance with that model. Means write on your strengths and watch out for your weaknesses and align with the model. And the third thing would be live life in moderation. You know, that is very, very important in messaging in Ayurveda. Sarve karyeshu madheshu. So whether you're overeating at this time, as long as you remember to come back in the center, uh, balance and moderation is the key. So if you live by these 3 principles, you will be able to live smoothly through life. Okay. Any other questions? Otherwise, I can quickly go over a little bit of, just some things I wanted to share.
I have one more question.
Okay.
So this is from Lavanya. Lavanya is asking, is Ayurveda effective for ALS?
I'm very careful about claiming anything, Lavanya. I have not treated a client of ALS. I have not encountered a client of ALS. So I will not say anything except that whatever whatever conditions I have come across in my practice in the United States and India, where the prognosis was not good, Ayurveda has at least added life to those clients and improved the quality of life. That is something I can say. So the Ayurvedic approach allows for that. It helps counter some rapid deterioration, loss of functions, etc. So that is something I can say. Other than that, I cannot claim anything about ALS.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. So shall I go ahead with a few things? Is the meeting time open? Like it's not going to shut down at 40 minutes, right?
No, it's unlimited, so you can.
Okay.
Stop your.
Okay, so the first thing I wanted to share was obviously about Ayurveda, but also in the context of the current crisis, I wanted to give a few takeaways from my end. I am an educator. I am a senior faculty for a couple institutes, so I like to come up with acronyms. And I have been doing a Facebook Live out of my own Facebook page, My Ayurved. And in last week's live, I had used an acronym, and I want to share it with today's attendees. The acronym is SMART, and I'll break it down now for you. SMART, let's start with S. S is for a few things which are relevant to what we are all experiencing right now. I want to say S for stop asking too many questions, because a lot of stress is coming from questions. We are living in a time of uncertainty. There are a lot of unknowns. Stop asking questions where we have no control. Like, when is the lockdown going to end? When are the schools going to open? Am I going to lose my job? Am I going to get laid off? Etc. etc. So actually, let me start with the first of the S, which is shrink or small. So make everything small. Make your living day to day. So shrink your living from weeks and months and years to morning to evening. That's it. So this is a fantastic time to really practice living in the present. So I would say shrink um, your projection of your life. Bring it down, shrink it to just morning to sunset, sunrise to sunset. That's it. Every day in the morning, wake up with gratitude and appreciation of what you have. And trust me, it's going to help a lot. Take your mind off of all the questions which are related to things that you have no control on, because that's causing a lot of stress. And I really want to emphasize that shrink your life in today's times to sunrise to sunset only, and see how much fun and joy and family time and connection and creativity and learning you can squeeze into that, as if today is the last day. So let's learn to live in that new format. Shrink your life, stop asking questions, and surrender. um, get that little feeling. This is from philosophy perspective, a little bit of surrender to the universal energies and powers, because they are beyond our control. um, with the surrender will come easier acceptance. So we have a resistance right now to it. Why is it happening, and when can I get back to normal? I think when you surrender, you will be able to relax around what is happening, and come into little bit more into survival mode, rather than very long term thinking of house and a car and a trip and whatnot. Come into the survival mode, morning to evening. What can I do? And when I say small or shrink, I also mean your meal size and your meal frequency. Shrink that too, because we are not moving too much. We are not um, stepping out of the house most of the time. So our input has to be modified accordingly. So shrink the meal size and frequency as well. And come down to simplicity, simple things in life. So simplicity is also with S. I want to leave you with that. And M for meditate and moderate. So meditation will help you. Any type of meditation, whether it's just belly breathing, is very powerful. Belly breathing is expansion of the belly, the diaphragm moving down as you inhale. So when you inhale, your abdomen should be going out, and when you exhale, your abdomen should be coming in, diaphragm should be coming up. So that itself actually brings down the heart rate and cortisol levels. So belly breathing, if nothing else, but try to meditate and moderate. I think I've talked about moderation earlier. Um, and then A for acknowledge what's happening in these times, accept it. Very important. This resistance that we have to accept is causing a lot of anxiety, stress, anger, resentment, frustration. Accept it, please. Acknowledge, accept, allow, adapt, accommodate. All of these A's are very important. And R for rest, restore. Inherent in restore is rest. So also give yourself probably the much deserved rest that you never got. Especially a lot of women, I would say, tend to overwork. Again, I don't want to be gender specific, can happen to males too, but women tend to get overworked. And in the allow and accommodate, I also want to say, don't pay excessive attention to cleaning right now. There is already added stress because kids being home, or having to take care of elders more than before. So don't worry about the dirty dishes, don't cry, the floor will not, fight with you. So ignore a little bit of that and focus more on family time and self-care. S for self-care as well. Rest, restore, rejuvenate, refill at this time. Fill yourself up. A lot of people are depleted. Fill yourself up with, fill yourself up physically, physiologically, as well as psychologically. And reflect. It's a very good time to reflect. Art for reflect as well. T for take time. Take time again for self and other. So for self, it will be self-care and anything about the self that has not going inwards and discovering all those things that have been bothering you or have not been working out. This is a very good time to come into um, in tune with yourself. And when I say other, it means giving away your time, your money, your skills. This is also a good time to give to others. So take time to give to others, and take time to give to mother also, means mother earth. So in mother we also have other. So mother and other, take time to give to mother earth and other, because a large part of the problem, we have landed ourselves in because we haven't taken care of the other and the mother earth. That is what I'm trying to say. So we are headed to newer ways of living. Hopefully, we will learn some important lessons out of this current crisis, and learn to live in a more balanced manner with respect to other cohabitants of this planet, which we haven't done so far. We have become the bully amongst the animal species, and if we don't change that, we are looking at more such crises coming our way. We have become the bullies, and we are able to see now that the bullies have been given the time out by nature. We are seeing that other species are coming out. I'm sure everybody has seen some pictures or videos of in the waters, on the land. We are seeing other species come out and claim what is rightfully theirs as well. So until we find balance within ourselves and outside of ourselves, we will not have a good life. And when I say good, it's not just health wise, it's every which way. So if we are looking for a sustainable uh, uh, whole life for our next generations, we all have to bring in that change in the following months and years, and a newer way of living, more sustainable and more aware way of living. So with that, I would like to say thank you again for giving me this opportunity. And if there are any more questions, I'm happy to take them at this time. And I hope this was helpful.
Any questions? Pratibha, they're all asking for your contact information.
Sure.
How could we just...
Pratibha at myayurved.org could be great. Do you want me to type it in the chat, or?
Just type it in the chat.
Okay. All right. It's showing me only privately. Can you chat? Can you type?
Click on the blue thing. Then you can select everyone. It's on the top.
Not for me. It's not allowing me. Probably because I'm not the...
Everybody. So it's PRATIBHA
at myayurved.org. My Ayurved is my business name. You can Google that too.
Oh, hi. I have a question. I actually sent in the mail nourishment eating in the sitting position versus other positions, and also undivided attention, and how many times you chew. It seems to be very, and also warm water rather than the cold water. Can you comment on that?
Definitely. I also want to say, if you all feel that you would like specific topics in other upcoming webinars, if you would like to hear more about Ayurvedic principles, I think you can contact Sanjay, right? Sanjay, is that okay? Sanjay, Supriya? I think we thought about that earlier, right?
Yes.
Okay, so if there's any interest, please do email IAGP. The reason I'm mentioning that is because the concept of dietetics in Ayurveda is huge. And that's a great question you have asked. Sorry, I didn't get your name. But that's a great question you have asked, because all of what you have said and much more has been described in Ayurveda. First of all, the squatting position is very important. Means sitting cross-legged is very important, because when we eat, our stomach is the first receptacle of the food, and stomach is the blender of the digestive system. When the blender is working, it needs all the motor power. The motor power comes from blood supply. And if you're standing, then the blood supply tends to go towards the legs by gravity. So the sitting Indian position is the best position, and second best is sitting on a chair. So that is an important thing to understand. It's not just following the Indian tradition blindly of sitting cross-legged, but the science behind that is that when you sit cross-legged, the diversion of blood supply does not happen, and the stomach ends up getting the initial saturation of blood supply that it needs in the first phase of digestion. Second, how many times should we chew? Or the environment. So there's a lot that's been written about the environment, how we should, what kind of environment we should be eat in. So, definitely watching a horror show or action-packed show or violence at the time of eating impacts the digestive juices and the process of digestion. So it's actually very critical to eat in a very peaceful and very restful environment. And chewing, easy formula is chew 32 times the number of teeth you have. So one thing you can remember is you should be able to drink your food and eat your liquids, which means that your food should be liquefied enough to be able to drink it, and your liquids should be consumed slowly enough as if you're chewing on it, if that makes sense. What else did you ask? Warm liquids. That's a very important one. Now, our gut is like our stovetop. Just like in the outside stovetop, we are cooking our dal and rice and chapati and other things to eat so that they can be consumed and then transformed into usable entities. So first step is consumption, and that is when we use the external stovetop. And then comes the stage of transformation so that the apple that we ate or the lentil that we ate gets converted into muscle tissue, to bone tissue, etc. So that is happening in our gut. And that is our internal stovetop. So now when we are going to cook outside on the stovetop, we never pour water on it or put something cold on it. That's counterproductive. When you have to cook something, you have to keep the fire high. So when we are having iced water or copious amounts of any beverage, we are basically dampening our internal fire, our internal stovetop. And that doesn't make any sense, because then the digestion will be slowed down and you will not get proper finished products. So yes, the Asian tradition of having warm teas and warm herbal teas, or just warm water, and in sips, not copious amounts. That's very important. So did I answer all your questions? There's a lot that I can talk about Ayurvedic dietetics.
Yes, thank you.
So we have 3 more minutes. We probably can take one more question.
Sure.
Anyone?
Yeah, I have a question. The Triphala powder, can you give it to kids?
Kids, you can give. Theoretically, I don't know whether they will take. So tablets might be better for them. Depending on how old your kids are and if they're... My kids are able to take because they have grown up on Ayurveda, but I don't know. So Rosie, does that answer your question?
Yeah, thank you.
So So Pratibha, if we have to host another live session,
Webinar. Mhm.
what would be the topic you would like to bring, so that we would like to know if the crowd would be interested?
We can talk about immunity, probably immunity protection and promotion of immunity is what I would say. At this time, it's a little relevant, so maybe, or gut health.
Okay. I have one personal question from my end before we end the talk. So respiratory is like one of the biggest issue now with COVID as well. Like people are, the side effects with not able to breathe, and a lot of people with asthma and wheezing. I know Ayurveda has played a key role in like curing. I don't know about curing, but I've heard like a lot of people going into Ayurveda. So what do you think? What do you suggest for people with asthma? Is Ayurveda a good way?
Definitely. If you Google, AYUSH ministry has come out with very good herbal protocols right now. There are 2 hospitals in New Delhi where the first stage of COVID patients are now being given only Ayurvedic. Kerala also is having its own 100% Ayurvedic strategy for COVID patients. So there is a lot going on in India from the AYUSH sector. There are many herbs that are very, very good for respiratory immunity and respiratory functionality. Tulsi, for example, I think all of you have heard of Tulsi, right?
Yeah.
Trikatu, 3 peppers, ginger is very good. I have myself put together a corona preparedness kit. I'm not calling it COVID-19 for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
It also has Chavanprash in it, my own organic Chavanprash in it. And there is a Springwell tea that I have put together, which has Tulsi, Vasa, Guduchi, Giloe. I think some of you may know Giloe. It is a very, very, very good immunomodulating herb, very good for its antiviral effect as well. So I have put together a few things myself, which I'm giving to my clients definitely. And anybody can actually email me and ask about that. I can send you details. So the answer is yes, Supriya. Very potent herbs. Any of you can try it for yourself. And again, on this platform, any other platform, I'm not claiming any cure. First of all, nobody can claim cure, not just in United States. In fact, right now, even the mainstream medicine is not able to claim any cure at this time. We are in the middle of learning more about this very fast mutating virus, novel virus. And respiratory system is the one that has been highlighted the most, but actually it's causing multiple organ failure, including kidney failure. There have been stroke cases. So we are still in the process of learning. But I see, it's like, I would say if today we were going to be attacked by an army from Mars, of course, we don't know what kind of weapons the Mars will have, what kind of armory they will have. But are we going to just sit and twiddle our thumbs? No, we are going to take out whatever we know we have. It could be a stick, it could be a stone. So think about, even if you think about it in such a simplistic manner, we have to think that, if we can build our immunity, if we can protect our immunity and enhance it, it makes sense to do it rather than just sitting and doing nothing, So that's what I would say. If you have a very good gut health, if you can protect your gut health, remember 100% of your immunity comes from your gut health. So that is really the center of everything. So gut health and immunity go hand in hand. If you can take care of that, you're much better prepared.
Sounds good. All right. Thank you so much, Pratibha. This was such a good, informative session. And I already see in my chat, people would love to bring you back. So I'm going to get in touch with you soon. And we would like to bring all our IAGB followers more session of yours and learn more about what Ayurveda can do to, can benefit us at this point. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. And we will get in touch with you soon for our next session.
Thank you.
Great
And
night.
namaste. Stay safe.
Thank you.
Thank you.